I think most of us photographers want our images to have some sort of impact. Even if the audience is only ourselves, I think we want to feel something when we see our photos. It could be conveying the beauty of a landscape, showcasing the personality of a subject, documenting news, events, creating social commentary, or just capturing how it feels to be in a certain place at a certain time. This post isn't about dance. I appreciate dance, but it isn't a passion of mine. As this video progresses, you'll see how these images fit in. Now, in my experience, the desire to have an impact can cause a lot of confusion when it comes time to actually decide what to photograph. When we look around at our daily surroundings, it often doesn't feel like what we see can convey the types of big emotions we might want to evoke with our photography. Not many of us live in particularly inspiring landscapes. Even when we're happy in our lives, our daily habits don't often seem interesting enough to photograph. But if you love photography and you want to be great at it, you have to actually do it. You can't wait for the next trip knowing that a new location will inspire you. A regular practice is vital for building skills. How do you use light and composition to complement a subject you're photographing? When do you prefer color versus black and white? How do you visually arrange elements to convey a story or give depth to an image? Taking photos frequently helps to make it an instinctual process. If you only get your camera out a few times a year, each time you do take photos, you're going to spend a portion of the time just getting reacquainted with photography. If it's a habit, you can spend more time actually making interesting photos. Now back to the dance photos here. How did these tie in? Well, a few years ago, some of my kids started dancing at a studio owned by some friends of ours, so I started taking photos of dance a few times a year. I photographed them at the studio and during showcases. So because my love of photography is centered around storytelling, I'm looking to document the experience of dancing. I look for moments of peak action in their movements. I stand backstage with the dancers, peering between the curtains. I look for interactions and get a feel for the environment. Above all, I'm looking for a way to convey the excitement that the people are experiencing while dancing. And that goes for anything I'm photographing. Anywhere I go, at any time, people are doing things and having feelings. We're often drawn to big action and emotions, but small, subtle moments are often even more difficult to capture and connect with audiences just as effectively. They're also happening around us all the time. How can you make what you're already doing connect with what you want to do with your photography? Can you photograph your morning commute or lunchtime walk? What other activities do you do in your free time? Bring your family into it. Photograph their activities, going to their events, visiting new places nearby, exploring. Creating a body of work that tells the story of your family is a noble pursuit. Many famous photographers, famous photos are of their family members. You might think what you want to do can't fit into what you're doing. If you're a landscape photographer, what are you supposed to do at your kid's soccer game? Maybe you don't care about sports or action photos, so what is landscape photography at its core? Conveying the feeling of a place, arranging items within a frame in an aesthetically pleasing way. Can you treat the soccer fields like a landscape? What about those early morning games when the sun is coming up and there's a mist across the fields? That's beautiful. Look past the surface level. How can you connect your big idea for your photography to your regular life? You can also choose to embrace the challenges of photographing something outside of your comfort zone. If you have a hard time photographing in low light, practice it. Try a different style and approach and technique. If you don't like action photos, try and find out why. Do you find it boring and repetitive? Or do you just not like not being good at something? Are you frustrated by gear limitations? What can you do with what you have? Do you prefer abstract images? How can you make those in your current environment? If you need to be there anyways, who cares if the photos don't come out? Do you want to make images that are more documentary or photojournalistic? Well, guess what? Literally everything we do can be a story. Coming up in journalism school, I thought a story wasn't worth telling unless it had potential for a big impact. Documenting the unhoused or victims of an unjust system, something at that level, to past Zach, was the reason to take photos. Anything less than that felt underwhelming. But since documentary photography is my passion, once I opened up to telling stories of the everyday, my practice and perspective changed dramatically. Now I'm focused on telling the daily stories of my life and the people in it. And even more important to me now than the who, what, where, when, why, how, is the feeling. What does it feel like to be alive? By focusing on these smaller moments and conveying feeling in a way, I'm approaching the biggest story of all. What does it feel like to be a human being alive in this world, in these places, in this time in history? There are so many great moments in the everyday. That's one of the reasons street photography is so popular. I think a lot of photographers feel the need to go to big cities like New York or Paris to get meaningful street photography, and that's not true at all. If you're not there, don't wait to go to start. There are amazing moments in small towns, and they deserve to be documented too. In fact, I think big city markets are oversaturated. I want to see people from small towns. It's easy to think, well, not many people are walking down Main Street on any given day in my town. So you need to expand your definition of what street photography can mean. Go to farmers markets and county fairs and high school basketball games. Visit the local ice cream stand on a summer evening. Go to the barber shop or the hardware store. By and large, people are flattered when you want to take their photo. They feel important when you show an interest in their profession, hobbies, or activities. So get out there, take photos of what you're doing, build a habit, hone your skills, try something new, conquer your fears, and most importantly, have fun.